What's up, everybody? Welcome back to March Badness, the 2022 edition. If you did not see the 2021 edition, basically what we did was a big tournament of some of the worst albums of all time. Came down to the wire, but in the end, Angelic to the Core by Corey Feldman took home the title. This year, we debated doing albums again and possibly having a rematch type of scenario, but instead we've decided to switch things up a bit and go with some of the worst songs of all time. So we've got a bracket of 32 terrible songs that will be facing off against each other. They do stink, and we have 4 regions, just as you would in the NCAA, of categories of where these songs are coming from. The first region is from our Songs of the Year series. In that series, if you've never seen it, in each video, we make a selection for our least favorite top 40 song of the year. So the 8 songs in that region are coming from those selections. The second category of songs is from Patreon, songs that our patrons have recommended for this series. The third is from online lists, basically general consensus type terrible songs that we found online. And then lastly is all tracks from albums that were in the tournament last year. So some of the worst albums ever, we're pulling the worst songs from them for that category. So we've got 16 matchups. Basically, we will be going around choosing which one we think is the worst. Whichever song gets at least 2 votes moves to round 2. And then after this video, once you're watching it, there will be a poll up where you can follow the link in the description, go to our website and vote for which ones you think are the worst. But remember, you are voting for which one you think is worst, not which one you like the best, because we are trying to get to the worst song of all time here. So that's the way it works. We will go around matchup by matchup and just make some quick points about the songs and why we hate them or don't hate them and decide which one we think is worst. So here we go. You guys ready? Matchup number 1 in the Songs of the Year region. We've got Billy Ray Cyrus with Achy Breaky Heart matching up against Go Away Little Girl by Donny Osmond. What do you guys think?
Well, I feel like on paper, Billy Ray Cyrus and this track have a lot of notoriety. That Donny Osmond song is much older. And I believe I picked both of these for SOTY, and Joe doubled me up, I believe, with Achy Breaky Heart. So there's a lot of good campaigning behind this. Go Away Little Girl is awful in every way that Donny Osmond is awful on like every song. So it's not too exceptional to the Donny Osmond brand. It is really puny and just lousy and makes no sense. Just like he doesn't want to be bothered by girls. Really weird. But I gotta say the worst song is Achy Breaky Heart, because it is just everlasting and timeless for all of the wrong reasons. It's got just an annoying beat, an annoying hook, and is just everything I hate about popular stadium country sound. It's close. This is a very tight, like this one went into overtime, but I think it's Achy Breaky Heart as the worst song. That's what I want moving on.
All right, for me, this is actually a quite simple calculation. I think Go Away Little Girl is not a bad song. I think the production is good. I know Donnie doesn't sound very good, but he's like a more puny Michael Jackson type puppy love thing. I'm fine with that song. I think it's actually slightly above average, and Billy Ray Cyrus never made a song as good as Make a Man Out of You like Donnie did. So for me, it's not even a close contest. Achy Breaky Heart is the worst song here.
Well, Joe did double up Cram, I believe, with Achy Breaky Heart, but I also think that I doubled up Cram with Go Away Little Girl. I absolutely hate Go Away Little Girl. I think Donny Osmond's vocals on that are incredibly annoying. The prepubescent vocals where he's just singing really high. It's so screechy. It's a really cheesy and lame song. I think it's awful. Achy Breaky Heart. I mean, I think achy breaky is a really annoying phrase, and that it's used so much in the song is pretty irritating. But I don't think it's that much worse than a lot of other 90s country, especially like going on around the 90s line dancing craze that was happening. I don't know. I don't think it's as egregious as Go Away Little Girl. So Go Away Little Girl would be my vote, but it doesn't matter. You guys have already made the decision. So Achy Breaky Heart is through to the next round, and it will be going up against either Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice or Ahab the Arab by Ray Stevens.
All right, for me, I think I had Ahab the Arab as my worst song of whatever the heck year it was, 59, 60. It's quite racist, and not in this like, oh, well, that's like insensitive culturally. No, it's like straight up his weird versions of like the Arabic cries and everything like that. I'm pretty sure he's just like making stuff up and like trying to be funny and like, oh, I'm gonna imitate, an Arab person. It's really bad. It feels like it's 30 minutes long. The story sucks. His singing sucks. Just really bad. Definitely one of my top contenders for worst song ever. So I'm voting for this one. Hardcore over the lame, but kind of funny and kind of cute Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby, which is bad, but that's not even in the same stratosphere as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with Joe on this. Ice Ice Baby is not good. Kind of ruins the Under Pressure bass line. The song comes on and you're like, sweet. And then you're just always hit with that disappointment. But it's hard to hate it that much. I don't think it's, that offensive. Like most early hip hop is pretty harmless and fun. And, I don't mind it that much. But Joe's right about Ahab the Arab. It has not aged well at all. I don't know if it was ever not racist, but it's really just very cringy. Just a bunch of stereotypes that he's thrown at you. And I'm not even really sure what the joke is supposed to be. It's like a comedy song, but I don't know what part of it's funny. So no good. Sorry, Ray.
That makes three of us. Ice Ice Baby isn't that good, but at least it does steal a good bass part. But yeah, Ray Stevens, just what is the motivation behind this song? It's not like it has no commentary behind it other than just like totally ignorant, childish, just observations and buffoonery. So that one is going to move on to a really good second round matchup against Billy Ray Cyrus and Achy Breaky Heart. But let's go down a notch here in the bracket. Coming up next, we've got Jimmy Buffett with Margaritaville going up against Paul Evans. 7 Little Girls sitting in the back seat. Jason, what do you got?
Well, Margaritaville, I know Cram hates it. I do too. Just the whole vibe and the attitude of it, I just can't get down with it. The whole parrot head culture, I don't get it at all. Just think it's really lame. But 7 Little Girls sitting in the back seat, that was my selection for worst song of the year, whatever year that was, sometime in the early 60s, I think. Just such a weird and creepy song. It's got a really annoying melody. It's about this guy driving around 7 little girls and his friend Fred, who's in the back seat making out with all of them. And he's like trying to persuade one of them to come up to the front seat with him. It's just so weird. I don't know. That's got to be my pick in this matchup.
Yeah, I agree. I hate Margaritaville. I actually wish Cheeseburger in Paradise were in here instead. That could have maybe given it more of a fight, but I do not feel comfortable listening to this song. In fact, when I listened to it the other day, I think I got up and made sure my door was locked or something, because it's just really unnerving. The call and response, they have the female vocal part trying to play it off as like all innocent and coy, like we're not coming up into the back seat or front seat just yet or whatever. Like their whole attitude is so remarkably unusual, and just using the word little girls is just weird. Like if they were just girls, like it would kind of change things a little bit, but yeah, we got 7 little girls in the back seat. Friggin' weird, man. Like what is the motivation behind some of these songs? I don't get it. It's creeping me out. No dice.
Yeah, that one's moving on without my vote, but I'm definitely voting for it. It's just really odd. Like the non sequiturs between like the male and female parts. Like it's just I don't know. It's really unnerving. I agree with both of you. Margaritaville is lame, and it launched like its impact on the world is probably much worse than a little novelty song that no one remembers. But as a song, I can live with it. So yeah, Seven Little Girls. Moving on.
The only thing that can really beat parrot head culture is pedophile culture. So it was a good matchup for Buffett to not move on.
That's not the end of the pedophilia in this tournament. We got some more to come. So the next matchup we got is Ebony and Ivory by Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder up against the Ballad of the Green Berets by Sergeant Barry Sadler.
Well, on this bad boy, I think I nominated both of these again. It's tough. I hate the level that Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder stooped to on Ebony and Ivory. It's just too cute. It's too sugary. It's like without any trace of irony. It's a lame song. It's one of the lamer songs ever. Tough. Ballad of Green Beret is just sort of like a jingoistic, boring rehash of like how the Green Berets got started. I don't know how it charted so high. I guess I'm going to go with that one just because I don't want to see Stevie Wonder and Paul McCartney get hurt. So I'll vote Ballad of the Green Berets here.
Ebony and Ivory, just a really ham-fisted plea for racial harmony. I can't even imagine how bad this song would be if it wasn't sung by two of the greatest singers of all time. Like in other hands, like how much worse could it have even gotten? But at the same time, like they should know better. It's just a terrible song, not good at all. Then you got the Ballad of the Green Berets, which I also think is pretty awful. Musically, it's extremely boring. It's just a guy talking basically over a marching band snare. But it's kind of close, but I think Ebony and Ivory is worse. So Cram has the deciding vote on this one.
Well, I think we all know how I feel about Paul McCartney. What we don't know is how I feel about the Green Berets. My pick is Ebony and Ivory, and it's not even close. Ballad of the Green Berets is boring as hell. Like, why? Who wants to make a song? Who thinks, what would make a great song? Quick little history lesson of that. Like, what? Who cares? Like, might as well write a song about like how Eli Whitney created the cotton gin, or let's make a song about the printing press. That'll be a good one. This one is just way below their talent level. It is remarkable that this is what these two juggernauts came up with. And this predates Kendall Jenner handing a police officer a Pepsi by like 30 years. It is just the most tone deaf, plain, simplistic ideas of how to solve major issues, even though it's through something as innocent as a song. It just kind of fails miserably. And even if it wasn't, the lyrics were different and it wasn't about this, it would still be a pretty lousy song. It's not very memorable. It's not very melodic. Like, they can do much better. Yeah. Ebony and Ivory, moving on, baby.
All right. So we're moving on to the Patreon region. We've got My World by Guns N' Roses up against Rice and Curry by Dr. Bombay. What do you guys got?
Jesus God. My World is really, really bad. It's got this weird, like, just terrible vocal performance. It's so stupid and want to be tough and like a little bit new metal before it. But man, is Rice and Curry friggin' offensive and stupid and lame. It is just terrible. That's got to be my winner. Also has this frog ribbit in it as like, for some reason, but it's got just that stupid club fun lameness. It makes like that club song, the hamster song or whatever, sound like a million times better. This is just terrible. They whipped out all of the worst like child's Casio sound effects to put in just randomly. It is just an atrociously bad song. Stereotypes about Indian culture and rice and curry is really bad. Dr. Bombay is a terrible name for an artist, and this is a terrible song. As bad in My World is not good at all, but this is Rice and Curry's got some legs in this tournament.
Yeah, My World, I don't even know if it's really a song. It seems like more like a hidden track at the end where it's just like, oh, here's a little stupid Axl Rose, mumbo jumbo doing whatever. Rice and Curry, like that's a real song that someone actually had to come up with. And I don't know who Dr. Bombay is. I don't know if it's another Ray Stevens situation where it's like some white guy trying to do this like Indian rice curry, like these jokes. But either way, even if it is like an Indian guy doing it, it's not subtle or tasteful. The dance beat's terrible. Yeah, it's just a really lousy song. I couldn't believe it was a good pick by our Patreons, because I'd never heard of this one, but it's really, really bad. He gets my vote.
That's a clean sweep for Dr. Bombay. Pretty easy decision there. My World, it's bad. It sounds like Axl Rose doing a Dave Mustaine impression, but it's short, so it's got that going for it. I believe the genre listed for Rice and Curry is Swedish Eurodance, so I'm assuming it is a white person, a Swedish person, I would assume. I don't know for sure, but they're doing this mocking Indian accent. It's awful. The whole story is stupid, talking about how bad his cooking is, and then he decides at the end of the song to turn his rice into glue and market it as glue. I don't know. Really dumb. Moving on.
Yeah, all right. So Dr. Bombay moves on. Now we got an interesting matchup here. Seasons in the Sun by Terry Jacks versus Red Dress by Sarah Brand, which I had never heard before. So, Joe, what do you got?
Well, on one hand, we have a real song, Seasons in the Sun by Terry Jacks. It's not a particularly good or memorable song. I remember hearing it on those like 70s gold compilations and stuff. It wasn't one of my favorites. Sarah Brand, I'm pretty sure this is a joke, not real, as like outsider music purposely made poorly in order to test the audience. If she's singing off key, like it can't be someone really trying to sing. And I think she's like a Harvard psychology student or something at the time she made this. So it's just really bizarre because it's like so close to being like a normal kind of pop song that you'd hear on the radio, but she's just like a half step off on all the singing. And it just throws the whole thing off and makes it like really weird. And it's almost like cool to listen to because like it's so close and you're like, and it's like almost catchy, but at the same time it's like horrifying. So I got to go with Red Dress on this one. Seasons in the Sun, that's just kind of a normal poorly written 70s AM gold song. Red Dress is like something special in Badness.
Yeah, so I think it was interesting. Seasons in the Sun was by far the most requested song on Patreon. I think there were at least 4 people asking for it. But I don't think it's that bad at all. My suspicion is that I'm pretty sure this was a #1 hit. So I feel like at the time it came out, it must have just been played to death. And everyone that remembers that time period just remembers being bombarded with it and has grown this hatred for it. I don't think it's that bad. Not my favorite song by any stretch, but it's fine. Someone else pointed out in our comments that the Beach Boys recorded a version. It's on their new Feel Flows box set. And I listened to that. It's even better than the Terry Jacks version. It's very enjoyable. So I don't think that's a bad song. Red Dress, horrible, unlistenable. One of those songs, kind of like Friday, which we've got coming up, where it just kind of like, you're not sure if it's real. Is there actual intention to be good here? Like Joe said, I doubt it. She was a sociology major at the time she recorded this, but it's just unlistenable. It's not good.
Yep. It's a sweep. I honestly think Seasons in the Sun is the best song on this 32 songs list. I think it's fine. It's just not good. It's, a 2-star song. We're talking about 1 and below here. So this was a slam dunk for Red Dress. It is an ugly sounding song. It is a failure in almost every aspect of musical execution, especially the singing, off key, off rhythm. It's really weird. Is it a social experiment? We'll find out. Perhaps the trophy, perhaps we will take it all the way to the finals and she will want an actual trophy and be like, see, I told you on purpose I could write the worst song of all time. This is pretty bad. So that's my pick.
All right, next up. This might be the matchup of the first round. This is a doozy. We've got Kinko the Clown by Ogden Edsel against Ew by Jimmy Fallon with Will I Am.
So I actually don't think this one is close. I think the worst song is Ooh by Jimmy Fallon and Will I Am. They're both purposefully comedic, and the Ooh one just annoys the hell out of me. At least the Kinko the Clown one is so over the top and so weird that you're aware that it's just like they have no intention for you to like this song. It's just them goofing around, playing these weird clown characters, trying to make you feel uncomfortable, talking about happy cigarettes and, there's weird laughing and I'll never wear a frown upside down or whatever and all that stuff. But I hate Jimmy Fallon a lot. I don't think this is very funny. I would much rather have Nick Kroll do this song with his like Valley Girl kind of character. This one is just, it's comedy for those with poor or light senses of humor, and it's just not that entertaining to me. So that's what I've got moving on. Ew by Jimmy Fallon. And
on the one hand, you have a song about a pedophile dressing up as a clown. On the other, you have a song so unbelievably unfunny that it seems like another like experiment to just be grating and annoying, unfunny, stupid. But it was a real song, and it makes it so much worse because the Ogden Edsel song, like they know what they're doing. It was on Dr. Demento's show. Like it's purposely trying to be annoying and stupid and bad. And usually that would win. But in this case, you have someone who is just annoying, stupid, and bad trying to be good. And that makes it even worse. Every joke on here is like 10 years past its prime. Like did they think they were like clever and funny, like breaking out like all this little teen speak and stuff? It is so bad. I think it should win the whole tournament. As soon as I saw it on here, it's just like, this is the worst. I hate Jimmy Fallon. It's moving on.
It is shocking that we got through 2 reviews of that and Jimmy Fallon didn't come on to interrupt in like an annoying fashion.
Well, I can't believe that there's a song that we would unanimously decide is worse than Kinko the Clown. Kinko the Clown is something else. That song is insane. Like you guys said, it's about a pedophile that is like luring children with his clown act, getting them to massage his feet, and it's so creepy. At the same time, that track, when I listen to it, I actually laugh at just how crazy it is. It is so ridiculous. But Ew is really, really annoying. Jimmy does this skit. It's a regular recurring skit on his show where he plays this teenage girl with braces and says Ew all the time. So they turn it into a song and just takes that skit to the most annoying extreme imaginable. And then you get Will I Am in on it, and just his contributions, I think, are even more cringe-inducing than Jimmy's. It's just horrible. So yeah, Ew is through and will be facing up against Red Dress for a heavyweight matchup there.
All right. Last matchup of the Patreon region of the bracket. We've got Mara Wilson with Telephone Man taking on Popcorn by Hot Butter, which has to be an album produced by like Orville Redenbacher or something. Like, I don't know, wait, is that the Popcorn? Yeah.
I don't know. This is a weird matchup, I think. Telephone Man's kind of a silly song. It's in like this jazz style with this upright bass and these really breathy vocals. And it's about having your telephone installed. She calls the telephone company, says send the telephone man over. And then it's like this big double entendre about sex, basically. The weird part of the song, and I think the thing that makes it so bad, is some of the voices that she does, where she like sings in the voice of the telephone man and like makes her voice lower, which just sounds really weird. The other song, Popcorn, is an instrumental that was made for a record to like demonstrate Moog synth sounds or something. So it's kind of weird sounding. It's like this really bad early synth noises. It's kind of annoying musically, but it's an instrumental, so it's not that bad. It's been covered by Crazy Frog, so I mean that should tell you that it's pretty bad. But I actually think the worst track here is Telephone Man.
Yeah, Telephone Man is moving on. Hot Butter. Is it Hot Butter Popcorn? Popcorn Hot Butter? Doesn't matter. It's just an instrumental. It has no, like, I can't hate it. I have no feeling towards it at all. Telephone Man's just annoying. I hate the giggling and all the laughing and stuff. It's a chore to get through. Hot Butter, I put it on. It was put it on. It was over, and I moved on with my life, and I'll never think about it again.
Yeah, hot popcorn, butter, whatever. Didn't bother me as much. It's just a bad, ugly synth, low bit sounding synth instrumental. But Telephone Man seems like she's trying to showcase a lot as a vocalist and just kind of fails at every turn, especially like Jason said, when she's taking on the character of the Telephone Man. It is just really, everything just quite simply sounds bad. It's really annoying. Her voice doesn't sound good when she's doing her part. It sounds even worse when she does the Telephone Man's part. She's not like portraying it as coy or sexy or anything. It just comes off as goofy and pointless. So that one goes on easily.
All right, next up, we're moving into the online list region, songs that the internet has come to some general consensus about being awful, and there are some heavyweights in this division. Starting with Hey Soul Sister by Train, up against Who Let the Dogs Out by the Baha Men.
I hate both of these songs a lot, but my pick is going to be Hey Soul Sister, because I think it is just the most trite, pandering crap in the world, while trying to be like romantic and worldly and lighthearted. And it's got that terrible, I think it's ukulele, maybe it's mandolin. It's supposed to have like this nice like Hawaiian kind of vibe to it, really romantic, but it is just so friggin' stupid. I hate a lot of Train songs, but the Who's the Misty Mista on the radio might be one of my least favorite song lyrics of all time. Who Let the Dogs Out is just terrible early 2000 productions. It is a really stupid song, but I don't imagine that they thought they were really getting into the depths of musical philosophy coming up with this one. It was a cheap cash grab that worked. It's annoying, but I hate Hey Soul Sister to its core for everything it is, and for just trying to reach out to just the entire young girl airhead community and win their hearts. It is really bad.
Yes, two tough choices because both are very annoying. I really don't like the Who Let the Dogs Out chorus, the Who Let the Dogs Out, woof, 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 woof. Very annoying. I kind of like the verses though. They're kind of fun. You know, it's a bunch of group vocals. It's, you know, it's kind of kooky. Lyrically, Hey Soul Sister is far worse. The Ain't That Mr. Mister on the radio stereo part, the I'm so obsessed, my heart is bound to beat right out of my untrimmed chest. I believe in you like a virgin, you're Madonna. And I'm always going to want to blow your mind. Those are actual lyrics that he came up with, which are far worse than Who Let the Dogs Out, woof, 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 woof. And yeah, it's got to be Hey Soul Sister for the win on the badness scale. It's moving on.
I met him once. He actually he was a really nice guy, but I had to wait on him in a restaurant, and I was just holding my tongue, just being like, "Oh, what the hell have you done to rock music, dude? Jesus Christ!"
Yeah, Hey Soul Sister is really awful, offensively bad in every way, dumb as hell lyrics. You think he like sat down and was like, do you think I could write lyrics dumber than that chicken wing line that I wrote in that other song? And his band
Fried
was like,
chicken. Fried
yeah,
chicken.
your best friend always sticking up for you. So awful, but he does outdo himself on this one, even worse, and musically even more annoying, I think. Just I think this song is on a crash course to the final four against Ew. It is that bad. And Who Let the Dogs Out, also bad. But I think that song is kind of settled into its role at this point. It's like a novelty song that you hear at sporting events and not really anywhere else. You never know where you're going to be assaulted by Hey Soul Sister. So that's got to be it.
Yeah, you can always throw a YouTube video on of like puppies getting let out of like their kennel or something, running all over, and score it with that song, and people are going to be delighted. But there's no reason to ever listen to Hey Soul Sister. All right, we got another classic matchup of very like-minded bands and songs here coming up. We've got Photograph by Nickelback and With Arms Wide Open by Creed. I am very interested to see how this one goes.
This is a tough one. I dislike both of these songs. Don't really like either of these bands much. So it all comes down to which one is just a little bit more annoying. For me, With Arms Wide Open sounds like something you would have heard on like SNL, like as a parody of Pearl Jam or something, like reconstructed from a template, just like marked grunge ballad or something like that. And the best thing about Photograph I can say is it has created very many cool, hilarious memes. I really like the one where it's, look at this graph, and it's just a graph. It cracks me up every time. So hilarious. As far as songs go, I think Photograph is slightly worse because I got to give Mark Tremonti a little bit of credit because he is a good guitarist. So we're going to move Photograph in my vote onto the next round. We'll see what you guys think.
With Arms Wide Open is bad, and it's probably the most exaggerated version of Scott Stapp's Yardling, as I think it's come to be known. This is like the song that people cite when talking about that vocal style. But Photograph, man, I think the vocal production on this is even worse. The way it's like doubled, but like, I don't know what's going on, if they're like being auto-tuned or like pitch shifted. They sound really weird and robotic. I just hate the way his vocals sound on this. Plus, it's a really, really dumb song. I think it seems like what's his name, Pat Monahan from Train co-wrote this or something. It's got that vibe to it. It's really, really awful. So Arms Wide Open, not a good song, pretty lame, but Photograph is a train wreck, I think.
Yep, let's make it 3. However, I really am upset this is the Nickelback song on here. I think it should have been that song about when he's talking about how rich he is and I've got a bathroom I can play baseball in and all that. I think that song is worse than Photograph, which is to say something, because this song is terrible. What the hell is that on Joey's head? Like, what is this song about? It offers no sentimentality. It's not remembering anything like meaningful. This is just like doodled on the back of a napkin at a friggin' TJI Fridays while he's like half drunk and just made it a song. And it is just terrible. Jason's right. The vocal production is so overdone and the music's just terrible. Yeah, Tremonti's a decent guitar player. Scott Stapp's awful on that song, but it's, to me, far better than Photograph.
All right. Next, we got an interesting one. We've got Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, Toby Keith's post 9/11 song, up against one of these other kind of Is This Even Real type of songs, similar to Red Dress. We've got Friday by Rebecca Black.
Yeah, I think we all know where I'm going with this one. Rebecca Black's song is terrible, but it is in key and it is kind of poppy. And even though it's kind of fake song, it was put together a little bit. This song by Toby Keith is everything I hate about country music put into one big old American red, white, and blue apple pie. It is so pandering. It is taking advantage of a really tragic situation and just writing this absolute nonsense that seems patriotic, but really is serving Toby Keith and no one else. Really insincere, poorly written piece of crap. I hate all of this style. I absolutely hate it. He even goes as far to like get this tough guy swagger where he talks about like how we'll go anywhere and just kick the shit out of like anybody. It's like, okay, just relax. It's too much for me. I can't do it. It's got to move on.
Yeah, Rebecca Black's song, I think it just came out of like a meme or something. Like, it's just a silly internet song that went viral. Nobody really likes it, but it's about Friday and everyone likes Fridays. So it's become sort of this thing. Lyrically terrible, vocally so bad. Like, even with auto tune, she sounds out of tune, which is impressive. But courtesy of the red, white, and blue, I think it actually starts it kind of starts fine. Like, it's just a normal kind of country song, you know, American girls, American guys, stand up, salute, blah, blah, blah. And then it just like slowly devolves into like this jingoistic hell where it's like, hey, Uncle Sam, put your name on top of his list. And the Statue of Liberty started shaking her fist. And the eagle will fly, man, it's going to be hell. When you hear Mother Freedom start ringing her bell, it's just like all these cliches just like lumped into one song. And it's just real bad. Big dog will fight when you rattle his cage. Just really the worst type of lyrics. I agree with Cramser. It is the inferior song, superior winner on this March Madness.
Yeah, I agree. Rebecca Black chose the right topic to write about, something that everyone loves. And Toby Keith, this song is so bad. It's just like, it's an attempt at patriotism, but it's got like no concept of how the world works or anything. Like, it's just so tone deaf, and I don't know. Like, this is the beginning of the world looking at the United States differently. I think this song, it's just terrible.
I mean, yeah, it's basically why Trey Parker and Matt Stone wrote America, fuck yeah. It was like, this is Toby Keith. This is what he thinks. All right, moving on. We Built This City by Starship versus All Summer Long by Kid Rock. So this bracket sporting Kid Rock, Nickelback, Creed, a lot of really good like late 90s, early 2000s hellholes here. So Jason, you started off here.
We Built This City, cheesy to the max, but I think it's a fun 80s throwback. I don't hate it at all. Probably in the top 2 or 3 in the entire tournament for me. All Summer Long, though, is a strong front runner. The combination of the Sweet Home Alabama sample with the Werewolves of London sample and then Kid Rock singing over it, I don't know. It's so bad. It's offensive to me as a fan of music, and I think a strong case for, you know, putting mashup culture out of its misery and just putting an end to it. It needs to go away, and there's no better argument for that than All Summer Long.
Yeah, Starship, We Built This City, not Bernie Taupin's finest lyrics by any means, but lots of pure, just wonderful 80s cheesiness. I like it. It's by far my favorite song in this tournament. I almost said Werewolves of London. Sweet Home Alabama, Werewolves of London plus Kid Rock equals All Summer Long. Just really terrible. I mean, those songs are so similar. Like, why would you need to mash them up? Like, it's pretty much the same thing. You just mash something different. Like, it's the same chords, it's the same structure. And then you throw in like the weakest guitar solo I think I've ever heard. Like, the tone and like the strength of that solo. Like, it sounds like you went on to like Power Tabs or something and like put in a guitar solo and had it like play during like the MIDI playback or something and recorded it. It is so weak and pathetic. I find it more offensive than I think anything else in the song, because It is just horrifically bad. So yeah, it's moving on all summer long.
Moving on with 3 votes. Although I do hate it, I don't think it has the longevity to survive this tournament because it's sampling, songs that are decent. Although I don't really like Leonard Skinner, but I mean, it's terrible. Don't get me wrong, and it's stupid to mash them up. And everything you guys said is right, but I want our winner to be just a pure from the heart failure. So I'm moving this one on, but we'll see how well it does for me in the future.
All right. Now we're moving into the final region. We've got songs that appeared on albums in last year's tournament. And we're going to kick it off with an album that made it all the way to the finals from Life, Love, and Hope by Boston. If You Were in Love, up against Limp Bizkit's cover of the Who classic Behind Blue Eyes.
I thought about this a long time. And I think the worst song is If You Were in Love by Boston. Because at very least, Behind Blue Eyes has a core of quality to it. And even though Limp Bizkit miraculously fucked up everything for it in every way, there's still at least like in the ashes somewhere of what Fred Durst did to it is Pete Townshend's classic. There's nothing here with If You Were in Love. This song is actually kind of my baby of the tournament. I think it is repugnant. It is so repulsive to the ears. Everything that we, ragged on the album is true here. Every decision in the production in this is just baffling to me. Obviously, the drums, the worst drum album in history. So bad. The singing is absolute garbage. She's like doing this low, moody, trying to be mysterious thing. Then there's those super poppy clap tracks that come in out of nowhere. The guitar part is bizarre. But to me, the bow on this is that like dark Wurlitzer piano. Why would you choose that piano sound for this song? It's so bizarre to me. Everything is so out of place. Nothing comes together. The rhythm is really clunky. Like, even if you just sat down and like tried to learn the chords to this song on acoustic guitar, I don't know how the hell you would still be able to play it because it's just all over the place. Like, you can't even like sing along to it or nod your head to it or tap your foot. It is just a disaster. This whole album is still so fascinating to me. It's so weird. It's so bad. So it's edging out Behind Blue Eyes. I think Joe might go different, but that's my pick.
I feared this matchup because I really wanted Behind Blue Eyes on this tournament, but I'm kind of agreeing with you here, Cramser. As bad as the cover is, and they're putting in that breakdown, that bridge into Behind Blue Eyes, where it does that weird L-I-N, like, where did that come from? Like, why? Just play the song. Like, at least you had something there that like could have been okay, even if you are, raping the song. But this If You Were in Love song is so horrendous. Like, it's like the dude just like called up like some like old producer or something and had like $30 and was like, hey, I got this hot chick. Please record her demo. I'll put some guitar in it. We'll add some drums later. It's just so shoddy that it's incredible. Like, this is Boston. Like, you have to like tell yourself that when you're listening to it. Like, they made one of the greatest self-produced albums of all time. And this is what they're doing in like, 96 or 98 or 2000 or whatever it was. Completely boggles the mind. It is absolutely one of the worst songs ever. And it deserves to move on. I can't even put my own baby ahead of this one. It's too bad.
Yeah. If You Were in Love by Boston is one of the most poorly produced tracks of all time. It bears no resemblance to classic Boston. I think if you played this for me and was like, this is Sarah Brand's follow-up to Red Dress, I'd be like, what happened to the production? It got so much worse. It's so bad. It is terrible. And then Behind Blue Eyes, I mean, it should have never happened. The robot voice is terrible. Durst sounds auto-tuned into oblivion, and just it's really bad, but at least it's a song. This other thing is, I don't know, it's so awful.
Yeah, it's bad. All right, next we've got a little gem off Lulu. Lou Reed and Metallica with Frustration, which is how you feel listening to it. And then we've got Bollywood with Liz Phair.
Well, boys, this was an easy one for me. I kind of like Frustration. I'm not going to lie. It actually is intriguing to listen to. The weird combination of Metallica's metal riffs and Lou Reed's, whatever he's doing. Is he reciting a story or something? I forget the concept behind Lulu. There's a really like twisted, batshit crazy lyrics. It doesn't work as a song, but it's fascinating. Bollywood, on the other hand, is Liz Phair rapping horribly. All this like faux Bollywood stuff going on. Her label refused to release the album it was on, so she went on some indie label or whatever and released it herself. But they were right. They should have kept it in the vaults because it is just real bad. Liz Phair with an easy win here.
I hate Lou Reed and Metallica's Lulu. I wanted that to go further in the first tournament because, man, I think it is so awful. Frustration. Like, I don't know what they were going for, and it's possible that they achieved exactly what they were going for. I don't know what the intent exactly was, but whatever they were going for, it's just no fun to listen to. It is just horrible. But Bollywood, man, so cringy. The Bollywood type of beat and her rapping and the lyrics are ridiculous. I can't believe this made it onto a real record, especially by an artist that is like, this is like another case of like Boston becoming what they became, but Liz Phair turning into this is almost equally unbelievable. I got to give it to Liz Phair.
Yeah, I'm with you. Full of terrible production and archetypes and stereotypes about Bollywood sounding music, and full of tacky effects, and the rhyming is really dumb. And she like all of a sudden just wants to be Missy Elliott or something. It's really bizarre. It's not even the type of rapping I thought she would pull off or go for. It's ugly. The Frustration is way too long and it's annoying and boring, but there is some cool little riffage in it at times. So I didn't really hate it, but I definitely disliked it.
All right. Next up, we've got the Shags with My Pal Foot Foot up against American Reckoning by Bon Jovi.
The complete opposite of song execution here. I got to go with Bon Jovi. Moving on. I mean, the Shags, not good listening, but it's kids messing around on instruments essentially as a little playhouse project. The whole 2020 album by Bon Jovi is terrible. And this one is so pandering, but unlike Toby Keith, who I don't think was sincere, I think he was just saw the opportunity. I think Bon Jovi wrote this and was like teary-eyed, was just like, man, I just captured the flame of the country right now. I think he finds this so moving and soulful. And it's just kind of like sad how bad it is. I mean, it's so over dramatic, even from the opening little like guitar pieces that are just like really delicate. And he doesn't even sing it right. He's still doing like that weird country drawl that he adapted out of nowhere. He's doing like the douchey pronunciations of things and twanging it up when it shouldn't be. And the lyrics are just so on the nose. He has a baseball bat in his hand writing the song, and it's either a giant swing and the miss or hitting you so much in the face to the point in the nose, beating a dead horse, and so contrived. His consciousness has been looted. I can't breathe. Laying on the ground for those 8 long minutes. It's just so much. And it's awful. It's so bad and trite. This one can go far too. And especially like because he wrote, I think it came out in like August of 2020. So just like a few months while everything was still hot and on the news. And I really think like he was ready to just heal America with this song. And it's just so bad.
Yeah, he's trying so hard to be Bruce Springsteen and failing so spectacularly that it's a little offensive. The Shags, like that's what they wanted to do, and I think they succeeded in doing that. So I got to give them props for that, even though it's pretty much unlistenable. I think that's what they were going for. Just trying to have fun. Bon Jovi was trying to do something, make some big statement, and just completely fell on his face. So American Reckoning has to go on. I'm looking forward to it making a deep run in this tournament.
All right, so we are lining up a lot, not a whole lot of disagreement here, but I'm with you guys again. American Reckoning's got to be the one here. My Pal Foot Foot, some girls that don't know how to play their instruments being forced to by their dad, and it's really bad, really unlistenable. But then you get that whole discussion of like outsider art and I don't know, intent and all of these things. At least there's some kind of conversation to be had. And when it comes to Bon Jovi, I mean, he's talking about things that are, there's big conversations to be had about the topic that he's singing about. But like, maybe you're not the guy, John Bon Jovi. I don't know, like maybe not. So yeah, going through to the next round.
Yeah, it's like giving Michael Bay the script to the Diary of Anne Frank and being like, this is your movie now. It's like, no, that's not a good idea at all. You got to have a little bit of poignance to pull this off, buddy. All right, we got Love and Lies, Corey Feldman versus Summer of Love by the Beach Boys. Jason, why don't you start us off this time?
All right, so Love and Lies. I mean, I think we could have taken almost any song off of Angelic to the Core and put it on here. I mean, this song is total insanity, but on some level, I think it's a little fascinating. I think the whole album is a little fascinating. Summer of Love, I don't know. Summer of Mike Love, no thanks. I will pass on that. This is from Summer in Paradise, the record that he had artistic control over. The whole record's terrible, but this song especially so. I'm going to go Beach Boys on this one.
Well, the drama, I wish we had more drama, but I got to say Love and Lies might be the only track you could have picked off Corey that wouldn't advance. Because I kind of like that 90s dance beat. Until the singing comes in, it's actually kind of catchy. I think it's better made probably than Summer of Love by the Beach Boys, which is just offensive coming from the Beach Boys. So, I mean, it's close. I don't want to make it seem like it's a rout or anything. But Summer of Love just sounds like, a computer program to make a Beach Boys song, like spit it out and like, that's what happens. Corey Feldman probably has a little more artistic integrity going for him on his album. So I'm going to vote for the Beach Boys, Summer of Love. Let's move it on.
Summer of Love moves on, but I actually picked Corey Feldman here. I don't think that version era of the Beach Boys is that bad, although I don't really like it at all. This song in particular gets to me because he's like trying to do this like Prince deity thing. Starts off with and there shall not be any lying or whatever, and then it's just the dance beat is clunky, the production's ugly, sounds terrible, and the day you came into my wife, I knew you have me as my wife, like just the worst lines ever. The truth is in your eyes, love is your disguise. It's a great representation of how bad that how bad that whole album is. I think saying it's the best song on that album is to also say it's the worst song on that album. So, but Summer of Love moves on.
All right. So if you recall from last year, or if you didn't see last year's tournament, the way it works is that you go vote, follow the link in the description. The audience vote counts for 2 points. So moving forward, you have a lot of control over what advances and what is eliminated. In order for us to overturn any audience vote, the three of us have to be unanimous. So let's recap the matchups for round 2 that you will be voting on. You've got Achy Breaky Heart by Billy Ray Cyrus up against Ahab the Arab by Ray Stevens. Seven Little Girls Sitting in the Back Seat by Paul Evans up against Ebony and Ivory by Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder. In the Patreon division, you've got Rice and Curry by Dr. Bombay up against Red Dress by Sarah Brand. Ooh by Jimmy Fallon and Will I Am up against Telephone Man by Mary Wilson. In the online list division, we've got Hey Soul Sister up against Photograph by Nickelback. Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue by Toby Keith will be facing off against All Summer Long by Kid Rock. Then we've got in the March Badness 2021 bracket, If You Were in Love by Boston up against Bollywood by Liz Phair. And American Reckoning by Bon Jovi up against Summer of Love by the Beach Boys. Those are some tough matchups pretty much across the board. A lot of those could go either way. Very interested to see how the audience votes on those. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet. Hit the bell for notifications. Remember, follow the link in the description, but you've also got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, merch, Patreon if you're interested in supporting the channel. Leave a comment below on what you think of these songs, and we will see you in the next one.